Welcome to Evolve, Reinventing Leadership, Building Freedom Cultures, with thought leader and award-winning author Yvette Bethel. This podcast provides you with insights and ideas you can use to reinvent your culture through trust and the principles of interconnectivity, flow, and balance. At a time when the world is rewriting the rules of work, traditional leadership practices are not enough. It's time to perceive persistent challenges through a new lens. It's time to evolve. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome once again. This is your host, Yvette Bethel, and the topic for this episode of Evolve is cultivating organizational freedom while navigating complexity with co-founder of Swift Passport Visa Services, Rob Lee. Now, Rob is the co-founder of Swift, and he's an entrepreneur who has successfully built a leading company in the travel industry. Combining his business acumen with a unique personal philosophy, Rob brings a distinctive perspective to leadership and innovation. His approach to business integrates mindfulness with strategic thinking, allowing him to navigate complex industry challenges while maintaining a focus on human-centered solutions. Through his leadership, Rob has transformed Swift into a tech-forward company that simplifies international travel logistics while maintaining a deep commitment to personalized service. So, hello, Rob, and welcome to Evolve.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I am so curious. I want to start with a question that probably may be unrelated, but I see that you started out in forestry, and I am
Yes.
so intrigued about how you ended up in passport and visa services. So if we could start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I graduated with a degree in forest and resource conservation
Mm.
from Michigan State University. And that took me after college out to Montana, where I worked for the U.S. Forest Service for quite a while. I was a forester. I worked with a lot of cool projects in and around Missoula, Montana, and eventually became a wildland firefighter. So I was a forest firefighter. And that's where I met my wife and business partner, Lori. She also worked for the U.S. Forest Service. So we met at work
Oh,
and started a business together.
nice.
Fast forward, we moved abroad to Costa Rica and then Panama. And there's two or three different situations where we needed a service like what we do now. And we didn't think of it at the time, but we didn't know it existed until we needed it. And
Yeah.
we we unexpectedly ended up leaving Panama and moved to Chicago, where Lori's from, and that was kind of the beginning of being an entrepreneur.
So you kind of started out putting out forest fires, and then you started putting out fires when when
Yeah,
people
yeah,
are
exactly.
traveling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no shortage of fires in the business.
Oh, that's great. I think my first question for you is to kind of start with you explaining organizational freedom. What is it?
Sure. I would say organizational freedom for us is we're husband and wife. We have a team of 10 people, and there's a lot of freedom and ability to pivot quickly, especially with our size. Obviously, the larger the institution, the more challenging it is to be nimble. Uh, But I think the freedom aspect of it is not only being able to change when needed, but freedom for everyone that's involved with us. We don't keep people restrained to one job per se. We're always trying to allow for growth, whether it's small things like, well, hey, I'll try that out, sure, or the ability to, hey, we should try this. Everyone has freedom of opinion, and it's totally welcome at staff meetings or just writing an email. Hey, I was thinking about this. Why don't we try this out? And we've thankfully created an organization that thrives on that. I would say we thrive on that. Everyone's input matters, and yeah, we don't really have too many restrictions on what people can do. Obviously, they have a job to do, but within that realm, there's freedom of how they want to do it, when they want to do it, things like that.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about some interviews that I'm doing. I do focus groups, and I was listening the other day to some employees who were saying, "Well, we're doing more work and we want more pay." Like, how do you navigate, that association? Because it sounds like you're allowing people to grow and expand and have fun. It sounds like some
Mhm.
fun in there,
Yeah.
and certainly that comes with expectations. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a recent example of that. We have an employee that lives in Miami, and she's been with us for quite a while. And I mean, she's an amazing person. And she originally started working in our Chicago office, and she came to us one day. She was a little bit nervous, and we're like, "Oh no, is she quitting?" And she's like, "I got to move to Hawaii, or not Hawaii, excuse me. I got to move to Florida for my family. However, I can still keep working for you." We didn't have any remote employees at that point, and
Mhm.
she had this whole list of exactly what she could do and what she wanted to do, and she basically created this pathway to where she's on now. So that was 2 years ago, I believe, and as of this year, she's basically created a path for herself with us, alongside her, but how to become a vice president of the company. And it's
Really?
obviously there's incremental increases in pay along the way. However, just knowing that there's certain responsibilities that go along with higher pay, and I think we make it clear whenever we interview or bring on someone new that that's always available. If someone's willing to step into something new, we want to support it in any way that we can, whether that's offsite training or leadership type work. This employee in particular, she really wants more leadership training, and we're happy to provide it. Obviously, maybe not basket weaving, underwater basket weaving or something like that, but anything that pertains to being more evolved as a person or as a employee, we support it. So we have something that's happening as we speak, and then add to that, one of the other employees is seeing that happening, and she's stepping up and saying, "Well, hey, I'd like to do this as well." And so
Hmm.
she's aware that if she adds responsibility, there'll be different title, different pay, and we want to be able to keep. One of the goals that Lori, my wife, and I have is we know that you can't keep people forever, although sometimes you'd like to with certain people. At least the least we can do is provide them opportunity to grow in ways that would support them with growth for their career or just themselves. I think it provides for a more well-rounded person to have around them, if you know what I mean.
So how do you manage the budget? Because I'm sure our listeners are like, yeah, right.
Well, I would say our pay is, I don't know this 100% sure, but I'm fairly confident that our pay is probably at the high end of our specific little industry. And the budget's a great question. And it's kind of a floating topic. Like we know when we're poised to hire someone, and I think the way that we handle that best is we're like today we had a conversation actually about we have two hires that are coming up, and it's like, well, right now we can't necessarily afford it, but we know that there's some planned growth coming, and it's kind of the timing of the hire before the growth or just as the growth's happening. So I think it changes all the time, but we're really cautious about over hiring, if that makes sense. And that's how we're able to,
Hmm.
like, we know that it costs X amount of dollars to run the company, obviously. Hopefully, hopefully we have a good idea on that. But as we forecast growth and we know how much another employee will cost, and if the growth exceeds that, it's like, okay, well, let's put a job posting out there. So it's not necessarily, budgeted in every year, but as we plan to expand, uh, we also keep in mind that we need more bodies as that happens.
So you take a look at the growth and kind of map it to make sure that it makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
from an efficiency point of view, because some organizations struggle, they bring in people, um, and but they don't check and see if there can be some efficiencies achieved before they actually bring the people in. Like, how do you balance those three things?
Yeah, that's another great one. We're balancing that as well. We're in the midst of developing a customized software application that we're rolling out for one client first, kind of as a beta version, but we'll make it available to everyone else. We we take a look at we know that there's. Can we pause here? I totally forgot your question. I'm sorry.
How do you balance? I hope I remember. How you I was
I was
only
like,
in the flow.
I had the answer in my, how do I balance?
Oh boy. Okay. We can
I
probably
apologize.
come back. That's okay. That's okay. When I'm interviewed, it happens to me too.
Well, I had the answer and then I kind of went off to this.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll ask another question. Let's say you worked in a government agency,
Mhm.
and so they tend to be more traditional command and control. If you were talking to somebody, explaining to them, how do we get from that to more freedom? Because it's not going to be totally free, but adding some freedom. Um, what are some of the things that they can do to start making that transition?
As that's something that I'm really currently working on. My role has shifted a little bit in the last few months. I've read quite a few books, and it's as an entrepreneur or as a business leader, it's like our time is what is maybe the most restricting of everything. I think entrepreneurs and successful people like, oh, I'll just do it, like the mindset of like it'll just be easiest if I do it. And all of a sudden the amount of time that we have to do all these other things starts decreasing. And I think the ability to take a look at everything as a whole and look where we can buy back our time, like what efficiencies through technology or cleaning up within the office, how do we streamline, like where are the friction points with our processes, and what am I doing that's probably not the best, highest and best use of my time, and looking to see how I can free that up, and then kind of looking at everyone underneath in the organizational chart, how we can free their time. So one of our biggest things is customer service. Our employees all work on customer service and they have another job to process all these travel documents. However, the bigger we grow, there's more customer service needed, and that takes up way more time than the processing. So it's like, where can we free up people here? Do we add in more technology to streamline customers' ability to answer questions themselves, make things more self-service? And I think that's what we found so far has been the biggest path towards freedom for everyone within the company.
I think you've described some practical tips, but what are some of the mindset shifts,
Mm,
things that need to change internally
mm.
to make it happen?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me personally, and I see it within some of our team, is not asking for help when it's needed.
Mm,
People tend to get bogged down and caught in what they're doing, and they have to get all this done on their own. And then, as with anything, some curveball comes in the middle of the day, and what they were working on can't be worked on anymore, and all of a sudden they have this backlog. And we've really started encouraging people to speak out. We have people across the country, and we have two people outside of the country, and so the internal communication through we use like Teams chat. Hey, really busy, got a lot of phone calls right now. Can someone else cover this? Or I just got a pile of stuff on my desk. I'm going to be busy with that for a while. I think that's been one of the biggest things is just being allowing for the open communication of, hey, I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now. Whereas I think in other organizations that I've been a part of in the past, that might be frowned upon to ask for help, or you might
mm,
think that you're going to get docked for some reason for needing help, or that you're not living up to some self-perceived standards of not being enough. I think that might be the source of a lot of it for people is like, well, I'm not doing enough, so I'm just going to keep doing it, and then it becomes overwhelming. And
I think too, there's a dynamic where in command and control environments, you have like one person that's, the person that approves everything. So they create a backlog. Like what kind of mindset shift can work with them releasing? Because that tends to be when I do work with organizations, that tends to be release is a big issue. How do you do it?
yeah, that is right now again one of the it's the perfect questions right now. I think there's a sense of control that everyone has, and then as a business owner, well, like I'm gonna have to take time to train this person on how to do this,
Right,
and then I'm gonna have to monitor how they do this, and it's just how do I know it's not going to be done the way I need it to be done?
right,
And I think there's quite a shift if we can step back and say that it's never going to be done the exact way that you want it done. You can provide training, and now with video, it's easy to make videos on how to do things, and you can have resources for people. And as long as they're following these resources and you provided how you want it done, I think that's the first step in being able to kind of step away from some of these overburdening tasks or things like that.
yeah. I think another kind of scenario that I come across is sometimes employees struggle when they're given autonomy. How have you supported that?
And that's one of the I think the foundational principles that we strive to allow for people within the company is autonomy. I know my partner Lori and I, we do not want to micromanage or hover, or however you want to phrase it. And I think some people are used to being able to be autonomous, and then some people are not. And
Mhm.
I think for the people that love the autonomy of like, well, just give me the list of things I need to do, I'll do it. That's a great hire, but you can't always find that because I think some hires might need to be led into that. And I think what's been successful for us is just allowing it to happen. And there's going to be some fumbles along the way, and there's going to be some pain points potentially for people that aren't good at being autonomous, but I think just allowing it to happen and checklists, like as simple as checklists. Hey, well, just as long as you have all this, however you want to do it, and just giving them the freedom to, or one thing that I do is like, hey, here's what I'd like. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, just give me what you have or what you come up with, and I'll tell you if that's in line with what I'm thinking. And then I think it's just the checking in for a while, like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. And then as we become aligned as a team, I think people know what we expect and know what's expected of them from their coworkers and things like that. I think it becomes a beautiful thing. We have an office of there's five of us here right now today, and everyone's doing their own thing. It didn't happen right away, but like it becomes kind of this working system. And then anytime you add someone new,
Yes.
obviously that throws it off a little bit and just takes time to course correct. But yeah, we established like maybe unspoken norms, and as soon as people become aware of it, I think they catch on and enjoy the autonomy of that.
They enjoy the autonomy of that. So, this is your host, Yvette Bethel, and we'll be right back after this message. Organizational Soul is a mission driven organization and network where we specialize in trust in academia, families, and organizations. We are building a community of leaders who are interested in trust and culture. If you are interested in our updates, you can sign up for our newsletter at orgsoul.com. As a thank you for joining our community, you can access our free resources that are designed to help you build your brand as a trusted leader as you contribute to safe space. Sign up now at orgsoul.com. All right, so welcome back to Evolve. Our guest for this episode is founder of Swift Passport and Visa Services, Rob Lee. Welcome back, Rob.
Great to be back.
So, Rob, what are some of the new or maybe not so new skills that leaders need to develop so they can cultivate a freedom culture?
Hmm.
I'm making you think today.
Yeah, no, these are great thought-provoking questions. I think the what we were talking about before, the autonomy, I think there's so many people that from the pandemic that started working from home or had an opportunity to work from home. And I think embracing this, we're all a team, and we're all independently doing things for a greater purpose. And I
Mhm.
think if we have this kind of like, here's where we want to be, whether an organization wants to call it a mission statement or a vision or a call to action, however a company phrases it, but as long as, hey, we're working towards this, and you have this space to uh, do what you do best, because you hire people because you're hiring. I mean, it's like a contract between they're providing a service that the company needs, and I think there's a level of trust, and if you give them this group or individual task to accomplish, there's a level of trust back and forth that they'll get it done. You trust that they're going to get it done, and all of a sudden they have this space with trust to kind of work within their own like mind frame and how they want to get things done. And I think there's like a big evolution happening right now of kind of this independence working environment. Like give me a task and tell me what I want to do and or what I need to do, and I'll get it done for you. And allowing for that to happen and grow. I think our company is in the middle of really kind of transforming into that. Like I said, we have people across the country, and our hub office is here in Chicago, where we have the bulk of our employees. But we have people in Washington, New York, or excuse me, Miami, and then we have someone in Mexico City.
Mhm.
And there's this kind of, we all know what we have to do, and we're working together to achieve the same. end goal.
There's something that you're articulating without saying exactly what it is, and it sounds like while there may be some kind of job description or position description, there's flexibility for people to work outside of that, and really to use their talent or talents. Um, in ways that you may not be able to kind of articulate in a JD, but certainly, it adds value to the organization. I think that's something that you said several times in different ways. And I just want you to say a little bit more about that.
Uh, could you repeat? Sorry, could you repeat?
No, what I'm saying is, from what I gather, you you've articulated that the job description, there's some job descriptions, but you don't set it as a boundary. You allow it to be something flexible so that yes, there's a job described in some kind of formal way, but then you also allow their talents to come forward,
Yes.
which may not be described in the job description. And I'm just, inviting you to talk about that because I think that's a big part of the freedom is to release and allow.
Yes, absolutely. We we really thrive on that. So we have, like you said, a job description. Like this is what we're hiring you for. And there's obviously like a list of things that have to be done on a daily or a weekly, monthly basis. And that's kind of part of that overall goal of the company. We're trying to reach this. We're trying to have be known for great customer service. And we have two individuals here that we provide incentive for people to provide great customer service. For example, everyone's interacting with customers. And one gentleman that works for us, he is like, I don't even know how to, you couldn't search for him.
Right.
He's just who he is. And his customer service is exceptional. And then there's this other lady that works, she's a little bit more behind the scenes. The gentleman, the first gentleman, he's interacting with people that come into our office and he's like the face of the company. And like we don't want to hold any restriction on what he's doing. Like we've allowed him to kind of just grow into that. We just told him that you need to be able to take care of people. Told the other lady the same thing, and they both seem to get the most like 5-star reviews mentioning their names, and they've
Hmm.
both gone about it their own way because we've truly allowed them to find what works for them. The gentleman is way more outspoken and just alive. And the lady, she's a wonderful person. She's a little bit more reserved. However, whatever she's doing is she's just being herself without much of a
Right.
construct around how to be her or how to do this kind of vague job, provide good customer service. She's doing it her way, he's doing it his way, and everyone else is kind of doing it their way. One other example, there's a gentleman that works for us in Washington, D.C. He has a lot of interaction with foreign embassies and consulates there, and his customer service isn't necessarily with the paying customer, but the internal customer that's the foreign embassy.
Hmm.
And like I go there to work with them, for a couple days every so often. And when I go into the consulate or the embassy with them, everyone knows them and like everyone welcomes, oh, hey, how's it going? And but it's the same kind of goal. Like no matter who the customer is, whether it's the FedEx delivery person or the paying customer, like we have this overarching goal of just treating everyone as if they're a high paying client.
Oh,
And
that's
and each
powerful.
individual, yeah, and each individual personality is able to flourish in that.
You mentioned trust a little while ago, and trust is actually one of my favorite topics. And really, I'd love for you to talk about how you build and sustain trust, because it's actually very important to freedom.
Mm.
It
Yes,
has to
absolutely.
be there. So tell us a bit about how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the topic as well. I believe there's a deep inherent piece of all of us that wants to trust people, and obviously people's life circumstances create, veils that maybe inhibit full trust. But I like to use the example of every time you step onto an airplane, maybe you see the flight attendants and then maybe the pilot in the cockpit, but there's this kind of hidden trust. As soon as you step onto that aircraft, we have all of this kind of unconscious trust of the entire system that got this aircraft to be right there in that place. There's the mechanics, the air traffic controllers. We've put out this trust in all these people that we can't see. So we have this inherent ability to trust things. And when it comes to bringing it back to people that you're hiring, I think there's a level of I've seen enough of you through an interview and through references and work, and obviously there's a little bit of caution and building of rapport with the new team member and the staff. And I think what it comes down to is when you hire someone to work with you, there's like a baseline level of trust, and without that you shouldn't probably be hiring that person. Like I think when we see people in person, when we meet in person, I think that's obviously the best way to build rapport is face to face. But even over like a Zoom meeting like this, I think we can quickly, I can, not quickly, but like in our head, like we're quickly
Mhm.
discerning, oh yeah, you're trustful. So we come to the table with this with each other. The employee trusts that we're going to take care of them and provide them with the paycheck and the benefits that they are looking for. And then we also have to trust that they're going to perform up to their
Mhm.
what they say they can do. So it's kind of you come to the table with this mutual trust as it is, and then if you allow for it to flourish, I think that freedom just expands pretty quickly when you realize, yeah, I trust you, you trust me, and
There we have it. So I think it sounds like you're in the midst of moving toward freedom. And you've made some achievements, important achievements already.
Mhm.
Uh, but what are some of the biggest challenges like that you would share with organizations who are trying to cultivate a freedom culture?
Mm. I think one of my biggest challenges was as a business owner. I this may come across as cliche, but it's trusting in myself. I think at various points, anyone trying to build something or become better at it, whether it's an athlete or a musician or a business owner, like there's a lot of maybe imposter syndrome and like, who am
Mhm.
I to be doing this? And
Mm,
I think one of the biggest challenges I overcame is trusting that yes, I know how to be a business leader. I know how to be a owner of a company, or I know what I'm talking about. And
mhm,
trusting and believing in myself then kind of permeates outward. And I think a lot of the challenges that I had or have had and probably will continue to have start from within my view of myself, whether I'm capable of doing it or whether I trust that I can do it. I think it all starts from within, and that challenge that we're facing within the business perhaps is also something that we're facing internally. Like there it might come out as like, oh, there's a financial challenge. Well, what's that financial challenge within our own little sphere of ourselves? And I think being just honest with ourselves and not being afraid to just step into the discomfort is it can produce magic. Like you just trust that, okay, I know what I'm doing, and opportunities come. We don't like, oh, I don't deserve this opportunity, and well, it's here and step into it and see what happens, you know?
You said something so powerful. I'm just gonna repeat it. You said trusting and believing in yourself permeates outward. And a lot of times, organizations they don't start from the inside. They start from somewhere else.
Mhm.
And this kind of work takes an inside out approach for it to hold and for it to be sustained. And how have you overcome and sustained your, I guess, self-trust challenges? How have you
Uh,
sustained the fix?
Yeah, that's a great question. So back in 2018, 2019, we started our business in like January 2008 was when we started our business. So we had been in business 10 years, and I had some personal just things coming up. I think I was growing into a place and kind of not comfortable, or some might call it a midlife crisis. I wouldn't call it a crisis, but a midlife, awakening of, oh, wow, I can do whatever I want kind of thing. So, just for purposes of context, it was a midlife crisis type situation, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to be a business owner anymore. Like I was just like, like I don't want to do this. It's taking too much. Like, it's not working out right. And we had some challenges with some technology that we were working on. We were maintaining kind of a status quo with our revenue, and things were just fine. We had a good team, but maybe we were spending too much on labor, and like that just wasn't a good couple of years. And then like it really kind of started peaking towards the end of 2019, where I'm like, I don't know if this is like what I want to do. And then obviously January in 2020, the we got wind of this uh, virus coming over from overseas, and we
Mhm.
were shut down quite literally immediately, like way before there was ever a reported case of COVID in the US. We share a wall. Right behind me is the Chinese consulate here in Chicago, and they were immediately stopped doing business, and our business just halted. And with a lot of people and companies, we had the once in a lifetime opportunity to like we had to lay off everyone, including ourselves. We had zero business for like 3 or 4 months in 2020, and like we had an opportunity to really decide what we are going to do, and it was like the not knowing of when things were going to start going kind of really gave us pause to reflect. And I did a lot of self work then, and I don't know when it was, but sometime in mid to late summer 2020, it's like, yeah, I want to do this. Like I had an opportunity for, like it was presented to us by force, to recalibrate and rethink, and I feel so grateful for that time that I was able to reflect within. And it was like, yeah, this is like, who gets to rebuild their business from the ground up? And
Mhm.
luckily we had, like some of the loans that were available from the government to kind of keep us afloat as we transition to that. And I think since then, and like the end of 2021, the business has just taken off, like continued to take off since then. But it's this renewed sense of like, this is what I want, and this is like I've been able to work on clearing my own space, and my wife Lori as well. It takes two of us to run this. We both were able to come to a wonderful agreement about the business, and just clearing that really has created beautiful opportunity for us to grow here and we're going in directions that we had no idea that we could go in.
So what part did or when did you start working on building the freedom culture? Was it as you started to rebuild the business after
Yeah,
the
so that
pandemic?
was, yes, exactly. I would say we unknowingly had it before. Like we're pretty easygoing people, and we definitely don't want to have this uh, like command and control, like you said, aspect of us. And yeah, I think as we started hiring people back, we could, we slowly put in one person and then another, and it was like we realized that we were fortunate to have people that wanted to come into a physical office space, number one, but
Hmm.
like we we saw that like giving people autonomy within this kind of framework of what needs to be done, like things just were taking off, and we pretty much had the same. We had two people come back. The rest, other people moved out of the area during the pandemic, but we had two people come back, and we've had the same people, and we're growing. We haven't really lost anyone since then, and I would say we have. This is me tooting our own horn, but I'd say this is a great place to work because of that freedom. Like they can come in. One other side note that I'd like to mention too. One thing that we made a decision to do, especially in the pandemic, is we realized that the personal time that we had, for home and just doing things, how invaluable that is. No, we have set hours for people. Nobody works weekends. Nobody's expected to work late. We don't have people email on people's phones. It's like they work within a time frame and then they are away from their job. And I think it makes it so much more liberating to come in and be like, well, I just got this 8 hour shift to do and I can go home and be separated. We're not texting people. We're not, unless there's obviously some sort of emergency or something. But besides that, there's this sense of autonomy and freedom when you work here.
It sounds like there's autonomy and freedom when you leave work as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like
As
like there's
well.
nothing. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we encourage that, and we really encourage. Uh, we just had a review with an employee, and one of the suggestions for this year was to take more time off. Like we give
Mm,
great time off, and it's like you got to use it. Like you take the time
mhm.
away. It's like that's what you work for. Is like you work to fund the fun stuff.
Exactly. So, as we close with our final question, what do you recommend for leaders to do? Maybe two or three things they can do to get started with building a freedom culture.
Mm. I would say the biggest thing, and this is based on my experience, is I was talking about looking within, and what's the environment that you would want to work in? I've asked myself this a few times, and Lori and I talk about it. It's like, well, I wouldn't want that if I was coming to work for someone else. And
Mhm.
really, I think the positive aspects of what you would want in a work, not what you don't want, but what you would want in an environment that you went to work in for someone else. How can you start implementing those? Obviously, you can't just shift things if they're set in a way, but just really asking yourself what truly would be what would be a place where you would want to go, and it's really being honest with yourself about that and starting to slowly decide how you can implement little things, and maybe it's a big thing that you can implement, but I really think it's creating an environment that you believe uh, is free for people, and I think the people that you attract to work for you will also have those same kind of things as you were. Everyone, you attract the people that are right for the right time, and I think if you're cognizant that they want the freedom that you want, and as you start slowly shifting into that, you'll create an environment where people will thrive and be autonomous and have freedom.
Great finish. I think with that, we'd like to thank Rob for joining us for this episode. And your insights will certainly support leaders in our audience with thinking about their cultures and what they can do to create freedom environments. And before we sign off, please tell our listeners how they can connect with you.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. My handle on LinkedIn is my name backwards. So it's Eelbor, Rob Lee backwards. And you can reach us at swiftpassport.com.
Mm.
And you can check us out there. We have a really informative blog with all sorts of beyond just travel tips, but mindful travel, all sorts of topics centered around international travel and culture and things like that. So feel free to check us out. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I love talking about this kind of stuff.
Ah, perfect. So this has been Yvette Bethel and Rob Lee, and we'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us on Evolve, reinventing leadership, building freedom cultures.
Thank you for listening to Evolve, Reinventing Leadership, Building Freedom Cultures. Learn more about our proprietary trust, leadership, and culture courses and certifications at the IFB Academy. You can check them out at organizationalsoul.learnworlds.com.